Most people spend their entire lives trying to look rich, but the ones who are actually rich do the exact opposite. Here are 10 powerful benefits of looking poor that will completely change how you think about wealth. Stay until benefit number 1. It will genuinely surprise you. Subscribe now, because what you just learned in this video is only the beginning. Number 10. People underestimate you. When people think you have less, they try less hard to take it from you. And that quiet underestimation becomes your secret weapon in every room you walk into. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals who were underestimated by their peers reported 34% higher confidence in decision-making because they felt zero pressure to perform for others. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people on earth, still lives in the same modest Omaha house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He drives himself to work, eats at McDonald's, and is regularly mistaken for an ordinary retiree. In negotiations and business dealings, counterparties have repeatedly underestimated him, a mistake they pay for dearly. His quiet appearance is not an accident. It is a strategy. The person who looks like nothing special walks into every negotiation, every meeting, and every opportunity with the most powerful advantage that exists: the element of complete surprise. Number 9. You avoid unwanted attention. When you look wealthy, you become a walking advertisement for everything you own. And the wrong people are always paying attention. The Global Fraud Report by Kroll found that high-profile individuals who visibly display wealth are 3 times more likely to be targeted by opportunistic crime than those who maintain a low-profile lifestyle. In 2021, reality TV star Kim Kardashian's Paris robbery made global headlines. Armed robbers stole over $10 million in jewelry after her lavish displays of wealth on social media tipped them off. Contrast that with Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA and once the world's richest person who flew economy class, drove an old Volvo, and shopped at flea markets. He was never targeted, never robbed, and moved through life without incident for decades. The person who drives the modest car and wears the simple watch moves through the world quietly, safely, and completely invisible to everyone who would otherwise complicate their life. Number 8. You stay financially safer. Looking wealthy does not just attract physical danger. It quietly destroys your financial safety from the inside out. And most people never notice it happening until it is far too late. A report by the National Endowment for Financial Education found that 70% of people who receive sudden large sums of money lose it all within just 3 to 5 years, primarily because visible wealth triggers visible spending that never stops growing. Mike Tyson earned over $400 million during his boxing career and filed for bankruptcy in 2003. He owned a 51-room mansion, kept pet tigers, and spent lavishly on cars, jewelry, and parties to project a wealthy image. Compare that to Ronald Reed, a Vermont janitor and gas station attendant who died in 2014, leaving behind an $8 million estate. He drove a used car, wore a safety pin to hold his coat together, and invested quietly for decades. Same world, 2 completely different outcomes. The person who looks ordinary is protecting something the flashy spender is constantly losing: their financial foundation. Think about this and drop it in the comments. If you suddenly received $1 million tomorrow, would you show it off or stay silent? Be honest. Number 7. You attract genuine relationships. When you look wealthy, you will never truly know if people like you or just like what you have, and that silent uncertainty slowly poisons every relationship you build. A landmark study by Harvard University, tracking over 700 people across 80 years, concluded that the single greatest predictor of long-term happiness was the quality of close personal relationships. And quality relationships are built on honesty, not impressions. J.K. Rowling, before Harry Potter made her a billionaire, lived as a single mother on welfare in Edinburgh. The small circle of friends who supported her during those years, who knew her when she had nothing, remained her most trusted relationships for life. After fame arrived, she spoke openly about how difficult it became to trust new people's motives. The friends she made in hardship were real. The ones who appeared after success were not always the same. Those friendships survived job losses, financial downturns, and life changes because they were built on something real, something no amount of money can manufacture or buy. Number 6. You build mental toughness. Choosing to look ordinary when you could look wealthy is one of the hardest psychological disciplines a person can practice in a world that constantly screams at you to spend, display, and perform your success for others. Research from the University of California found that individuals who regularly resist social pressure to spend on status items score 31% higher on delayed gratification tests compared to people who spend freely on visible luxury. Steve Jobs famously wore the same outfit every single day: a black turtleneck, jeans, and New Balance sneakers. He described this as a deliberate choice to eliminate decision fatigue and resist the pressure to perform status through clothing. While peers in Silicon Valley wore designer suits and expensive watches, Jobs channeled every ounce of his mental energy into building Apple. His wardrobe was ordinary. His results were not. Every time you choose the modest option over the flashy one, you are not just saving money. You are building a mental muscle that makes you stronger and more unshakable than almost everyone around you. Number 5. You face less social pressure. The moment people around you believe you have money, they unconsciously raise the bar of what they expect from you, and keeping up with that invisible bar becomes an exhausting, expensive, and never-ending full-time job. A study by the University of Michigan found that individuals perceived as wealthy by their social circle spend an average of 32% more on group activities, dining, and social events than they personally want to, simply because group expectation quietly forces their hand every single time. Chris Rock once joked that rich people do not get to be cheap. The moment your friends know you have money, every dinner, every vacation, and every gift suddenly comes out of your pocket. This is not just comedy. Lottery winners consistently report that family and social pressure to fund others' lifestyles is one of the leading causes of their financial collapse. Those who protect their image of ordinary avoid this trap entirely. The person who looks ordinary sets no expectations and lives free from the invisible tax that wealth visibility places on every social interaction. Here is a question worth dropping in the comments. Have you ever spent money on something purely because of social pressure? How much did it actually cost you in the end? Number 4. You develop smarter spending habits. When you stop trying to look wealthy, something remarkable happens. You suddenly start making spending decisions based on actual value rather than appearance, and that single shift separates people who build real wealth from people who simply perform it. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that consumers who prioritize functional value over brand perception save an average of $5,400 per year on everyday purchases alone, money that flows into savings and investments instead of vanishing into logos and labels. Charlie Munger, vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway and one of the greatest investors of the 20th century, lived in the same house in Pasadena for over 60 years. He drove modest cars, skipped luxury vacations, and reportedly reused paper clips. While colleagues at his wealth level were buying yachts, Munger was compounding. His net worth at death exceeded $2 billion, built almost entirely on the habit of spending on value, never on image. The person who looks ordinary is not accidentally frugal. They are strategically brilliant, quietly mastering the one financial skill no school ever teaches. Number 3. you stay more focused on growth. When you are not busy maintaining an image, your mind is free to focus on something far more valuable, actually building the life that image was pretending to represent. A study by the University of Chicago found that individuals who do not engage in status-driven consumption spend an average of 11 more hours per week on wealth-building activities such as reading, skill development, and career advancement compared to people who actively maintain a wealthy appearance. Elon Musk, during the early days of SpaceX and Tesla, famously slept on the factory floor and skipped personal luxuries entirely to keep both companies alive. While others with his net worth were buying mansions and supercars, Musk was reinvesting every available resource, including his own time and attention, into growth. That singular focus on building rather than appearing is what turned two near-bankrupt companies into global giants. The person who looks ordinary is not distracted by maintaining a performance. Their energy, time, and money are all pointed in one direction, and that direction is quietly and unstoppably forward. Number 2. You gain strategic advantage in life. The most powerful position anyone can occupy is being consistently underestimated by everyone while being fully prepared for everything. And looking ordinary gives you exactly that position every single day. A study by Columbia Business School found that negotiators perceived as having fewer resources secured 18% better deals on average than negotiators who visibly projected wealth and authority, because the opposing party unconsciously lowered their guard and became more flexible. Sam Walton, founder of Walmart and once the richest man in America, drove a beat-up 1979 Ford F-150 pickup truck and flew coach on commercial flights. Suppliers and competitors who met him for the first time routinely underestimated his sharpness and leverage. He used that gap between how he appeared and what he actually knew to negotiate deals that built the largest retail empire in history. His truck was not a sign of poverty. It was a weapon. The most dangerous person in any room is the one no one is watching. And looking ordinary makes you that person every single time. So think about this and share in the comments. What is one area of your life where looking ordinary could actually give you a serious advantage that you have never considered before? Number 1. You move quietly. Win loudly. History's greatest winners were almost never the loudest people in the room. They were the quietest, the most patient, and the most invisible, right up until the moment their results made it impossible to ignore them any longer. A study by the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School found that people who consistently underplay their success are 40% more likely to reach their long-term financial goals, because silence protects strategy, eliminates competition, and removes interference from people who would otherwise sabotage their progress. Ann Scheiber was a retired IRS auditor who lived in a rent-controlled apartment in New York City and wore the same threadbare coat for years. Neighbors and acquaintances assumed she was struggling. When she died in 1995 at age 101, she left behind a $22 million stock portfolio built quietly over 50 years through disciplined investing, zero social performance, and complete indifference to appearances. No one knew. That was the point. The old car, the simple watch, the modest house, these are not signs of losing. They are the most carefully chosen trophies of someone who has already won. The most powerful financial decision you will ever make has nothing to do with earning more. It has everything to do with what you choose to show the world. The person driving the old car, wearing the simple watch, and living the quiet life is not losing. They have already won. Subscribe now, because what you just learned in this video is only the beginning.